know he doesn't really look like your brother, but you can show me with the doll how he did that.
Cristian Fernandez, 12 years old, is known as the youngest inmate in the United States to be sentenced as an adult. He committed a horrendous crime against his little brother, just 2 years old, and would be branded as a true monster who only knows evil.
Why'd you take it out on your little brother? No reason like that?
No.
Is this because he was there?
Yes.
However, no one could be born evil, could they? Through this interrogation, we'll see what Cristian told the detectives that night. However, also something terrible that happened in Cristian's past to try to answer what it was that drove this boy to take the life of his own little brother. This is the story of how one boy came to commit this macabre crime. It all started when Cristian's mother returned home at 9 a.m. to Jacksonville, Florida, to find one of her young sons, David Galarraga, only 2 years old, completely unconscious. He was bleeding from his nose and ears. Cristian told her that he had fallen out of bed and was just sleeping. The gullible mother carried the child, washed him, changed his clothes, and took him back to his bed. However, within hours, she realized that the child wasn't moving at all. She started looking on the internet about what to do when someone is unconscious and bleeding, losing crucial hours that could have helped the child to react. It was only at 3 p.m. that she decided to call and seek medical assistance. It took almost 6 hours for the woman to react from the time she found her son to the time she called for help. Despite the doctor's efforts, the child died 2 days later. The autopsy indicated that the cause of death was a series of blunt force trauma, which fractured his skull. When the police arrived on the scene, they found in the children's room a bed that was completely covered in blood, with traces of vomit on the floor and the bathroom also stained red, along with completely soiled children's clothes. This is not the scene of a child accidentally falling out of a bed. This is the scene of a crime.
And what happened tonight? Because I know originally you said that he fell off the bunk bed, but that wasn't true, correct? Okay, so that was a lie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so tell me what really happened tonight.
I put him to carry books.
You put him to carry books?
Mm-hmm.
The detective knew that didn't explain David's injuries, so she needed Cristian to give her more details to believe his story.
What else happened tonight? He had his arms up like this with the books, and then the books fell. And what did you see the book fall on?
Part of his face and part of his head.
Okay. Well, you know, this side of his head is really injured up with a lot of bruising and swelling. So, and his nose is really swollen up. So, it had something else happened that night tonight besides just books falling. So tell me about what else happened at college.
After that happened, I wasn't with him anymore.
As he'd lied before, the police won't believe the story with the books. The detective has in her possession the psychological evaluations that were performed on Cristian as a child, which indicated that the boy had an acute depression, which caused him to engage in repeated violent behavior. Even when he was a child, he decided to kill a cat just for scratching it. All this contrasted with outstanding academic performance. So how can this aggressive behavior be explained?
Your mom do something to David? But you did. Okay.
This is when the detective's eyes turned to his mother. Bianella Susana was Cristian's mother, who as a child was molested by an older man when she was only 11 years old, as a result of which she became pregnant. The man was sentenced to 10 years probation, but Florida's conservative law forced the woman to have the baby, despite her young age. When she gave birth, they were both placed under the guardianship of Cristian's grandmother, and this is where the newborn's nightmare would begin. Bianella's mother and the guardian of her daughter and grandson was a woman who lived constantly under the influence of completely neglecting both children, including an incident that would forever change the outcome for the family. This would be the first time that Cristian faced the police at the age of 2. When the mother, a 14-year-old teenage girl, asks her mother to look after the child to go to a friend's house, she never imagined the nightmare they would have to live through. Christian's grandmother, who at the time kept them living in a motel, consumed a considerable dose of and illicit substances for days, completely neglecting the child. When police found him, the child was on the streets of Miami, alone, naked and completely filthy. In the motel room, they found the woman in a deplorable state and with little Christian's bottle full of maggots. As a result of this event, they were both taken into the care of social services, and the woman went to prison for child neglect. Between the ages of 19 and 23, Bianella would have 3 more children and decided to marry Luis Galarraga, father of the youngest children, and who would become Christian's stepfather. However, after all the excesses she experienced with her mother, this woman would live them all over again with her partner, who, far from helping her, took advantage of her and forced her to do horrible things in private for years. However, Luis's extreme wasn't only against her, but also against Christian. When Bianella met Luis, she thought they had finally found an escape from this circle of which has existed since the very second of Christian's conception. The last time, an unprecedented beating left an injury to the retina of the little boy's eye. A statement was taken at the hospital, which led to a complaint against Luis. Luis, upon learning that he was going to prison, decided to take his own life in front of his own children. With no one to help him take care of the children, the woman constantly left her young children in the care of Christian, just 12 years old. Prior to this crime, Christian broke the leg of one of his younger brothers while playing. Since they believed that the mother was to blame, they tried to link this incident to the of the little boy and waited for Christian to serve as a witness.
When did your mom take you to the doctor?
I think it was on the same day, but I'm not sure.
Okay. And did someone from Department of Children and Families come talk to you?
To my mother.
And what did you tell them what happened?
That he fell off my monkey bars.
Is that what your mom told you? Okay. So your mom told you to tell them that?
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't you tell them to tell that? Why didn't she just tell them the truth? You know? She was scared you were going to get in trouble.
Apparently on this occasion, the mother told Christian to testify that the minor had had an accident playing in the park, so that child services wouldn't take her away from the children. Although Christian is now telling the truth about that incident, the version he is giving is also suspicious to the detective.
I know he doesn't really look like your brother, but you can show me with the doll. He was sitting like this, and then how did you do his legs? So we can understand what happened.
Christian will try to prove that they were just playing to test his little brother's elasticity, but the force with which they had to act for this to be true would have to be inordinate. Only 2 months after this incident, the mother would again ask Christian to take care of the children. That night, the crime occurred. Among all the different versions of Christian's story, they finally need his confession. The detective will want to gain Christian's trust, who is visibly defensive, to get him to admit what really happened. So she will try to be as empathetic as possible to the little one. The woman's sensitivity would fortunately pay off.
Because you already started telling me the truth about one thing, right? And you told me that you lied about it. So you're starting to tell me the truth. And I appreciate that. Because it shows now that you're being honest. And that's a good thing. You want to show that you're being honest and that, do you feel bad about what happened tonight?
Finally, Cristian admits that he acted against his brother intentionally, and that the little boy's injuries weren't due to an accident. Now, they must rule out whether it was an act committed by him or if his mother was also involved in the crime against little David.
How long was he like that before you told your mom?
I told my mom right away, but I didn't tell her why. I told her something else.
What did you tell her?
That he got hit with the mud.
Did she believe you?
Yes.
The detective realizes that Cristian is being as honest as he can. Despite the traumas he has, he realizes that what he did wasn't right.
Did you know what you did was wrong?
Mm-hmm.
How did you,
I felt bad because then I realized what I actually done. Because I wasn't really thinking about what I was doing when I pushed him. I was just thinking about myself.
and then when you realized what you'd done, you said you felt bad. What'd you feel bad about?
About what I did and what was going to happen later.
To him or to you?
To him. I wasn't worried about me.
The received by his stepfather, his grandmother, and all the adults who surrounded him during his childhood created a little being who knew only. And although he doesn't understand that he committed a macabre crime, he understands that there is an unstoppable rage inside him. He suffered a childhood that produced antisocial behaviors and a tendency towards criminality that would end up convincing the authorities that Cristian was a danger to society.
How are you feeling right now?
Pretty bad.
Do you feel better about telling me what happened? You don't feel better? Was that the truth, what you told me this time?
Bianella found out when her son died that if she'd warned about the baby's condition in time, he probably would have survived Cristian's assault on him. For this negligence, the woman, then 25 years old, was prosecuted and convicted of negligent behavior which resulted in the death of her own son. Cristian, on the other hand, was charged with taking the life of his half-brother and also for inappropriately touching another of his younger brothers, who was only 5 years old. Cristian's mind was completely damaged and disturbed by the negligence of the adults around him throughout his young life. Nearly 200,000 signatures were collected across the United States from human rights organizations to demand that Cristian be tried as a juvenile. However, at the age of 12, he became the youngest person to be charged with taking someone's life while being tried as an adult. Finally, in January 2018, Cristian was released from prison on his 19th birthday, getting a new chance at life, one he wasn't able to have in his childhood.